Get out the insurance cards, get out the copays. The office is open, my friends. Brought to you by drroto.com.
Hello, my fellow hoopheads, and welcome to One and Done, your fast break for college basketball information powered by drroto.com. I am your always humble host, Chris Napier, a.k.a. Nape C. Hustle. Got it on the shirt here. It's official. Tonight, we are talking about the young guns coming into our wonderful world of college hoops. We have our top 5 recruiting classes and some names that we will be talking about late in the year, to be sure. To help me in this conversation, I have 2 of the best in the business here with me. First, he is the captain of our Green Screens Media ship. Find him on X at MC Holland 34, Mr. Mike Holland. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? I'm excited to do this one. Something a little bit different. We're going to be getting into some different content. We always talk about the transfer portal big board. You can go check that out. I think I have 12 names left to scratch off of that top 500 list. So looking forward to completing that hopefully in a few weeks here. And man, we got plenty of content coming. So this is just part of all the fun stuff we're doing over here to get us through this long, grueling summer of an off season. But excited to be here and excited to talk about some players that we haven't really mentioned as much over the last few months.
Yeah, absolutely. Tons of names. There's so many players and names and teams out there. No shortage of content that we will have during this offseason. But second person here, I guess third person here, never far away. Of course, our Baron of Bread, driving that bread truck for us. You can find him on X at Fantasy Nav, Mr. Eric Romoff. How we doing, man?
Man, we're doing good. Like we talked about a couple times now, shifting gears a little bit, taking a look at the youngsters heading their way into campus and those youngsters that are planning to develop under the tutelage of some of the best coaches in the game. Speaking of best coaches in the game, that is how we've been spending a lot of our offseason so far, talking to coaches from around the country. Right now, we're taking a little spin through the AAC, just wrapped up taping with Coach Clonch over at UTSA. Going to be talking to the Temple head coach this week coming up. So if you guys have any questions for any of the coaches out there, make sure to drop them in the live chat. If you have any coaches you want to see us talk to, let us know. We'll see if we can't grease the skids and make it happen for you. But ultimately, we're out here grinding 365 because college basketball never sleeps.
Absolutely. And while you're in those live comments or even the comments after the fact, hit that like and subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. Bing. You want to know exactly when we're going to be having these coaches on, when these shows are going to be coming out. Tons of content, as I said. The off season is long, but we're going to be here for the entire time, right? So let's just go ahead and jump into our show here. So as I said, we have our top 5, our one and done top 5 incoming freshman classes for the 2024-2025 season. And these star ratings that we're going to say are going through are from the 24/7 composite here. So we're going to drop these top 5 here, starting with number 5, North Carolina, coming in with 2 5-stars and 1 3-star recruit. And then I think this is the reason I'm so excited about this one. Number 4, Arizona State, coming in with 2 5-stars and 1 4-star. Arkansas coming in at number 3 with 3 5-stars. Number 2, Rutgers. They coming in with 2 5-stars, 1 4-star, and 2 3-stars. And this one's not a big surprise, but number 1 being Duke with 5 5-stars and 1 4-star. I mean, clearly some big-time NBA prospects and impact players hitting the floor for these teams. Of course, like I said, I'm personally excited that ASU is actually in the top 5 of anything. North Carolina and Duke, you always expect to see them up there, right? And we're going to start seeing Arkansas on these top incoming lists with Coach Cal taking over, right? So not a huge surprise there, but the big surprise was Rutgers. And we're going to get into that a little bit later. But let's go ahead and just start off with these Tar Heels. Like I said, 2 5-stars coming in, also a 3-star. Mike, tell the people who the crown jewel of this class for the Tar Heels is.
Yeah, so for the Tar Heels, we have them ranked in the number 5 incoming recruiting class, and it starts with Ian Jackson. He's a guard from New York. He's 6'5", 185, a very aggressive two-way player. He's more of a slasher than a shooter. Eric, there are 2 other gentlemen, though. He may be the crown jewel, but there's no shortage of talent following him. Who else is just right behind him here in the rankings?
Yeah, 2 more guys of note here. First off, another 5-star, the number 11 overall player, according to those composite rankings. Drake Powell, the wing from North Carolina. He's staying home here to go to the Tar Heels. 6'6", 195 pounds, just absolutely elite athletically, big energy guy, can defend multiple positions, right? He's going to give this team a lot of versatility in terms of how they square up against their opponents. And not to be outdone, a 4-star option sitting here at number 85, James Brown, the big man out of Missouri, 6'9", 210. You know, he plays around the rim nicely, but he's also, you know, part of that game is that he's got some nice touch around the rim, and that touch extends itself to his ability to pass. He's actually a pretty solid passer for a guy of his size and for his position. So nice 3-pronged class heading in here for the Tar Heels.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty nice here, man. And I think there's a real chance that Ian Jackson could start. It really depends on what Hubert Davis wants to do. Now, we had the Tar Heels sitting at number 4 in our power rankings, which is probably a little bit higher than what you're going to see. Those were our offseason power rankings that we dropped, I believe, about a week ago. So go back and check out that tape. But it really starts with Cadeau and Davis at the 1 and the 2. The question is really, what does Davis do at the 3, 4, and 5? Lots of options here. These freshmen, especially Jackson and Powell, going to be very much a part of the conversation. So Cade Tyson comes in from Belmont. He could play the 3 or the 4. Van Allen Lubin coming in from Vanderbilt. He could play the 4 or actually start at the 5. Depends on what you want to do with returner Jalen Washington, who I'm pretty high on. So for Ian Jackson, man, like there's a chance that he could start as the 3. The other 2 would be more of a position battle, right? Drake Powell, you know, he's sitting there at number 11. Ian Jackson's getting a lot of the shine. But coming in as basically a top 10 type recruit, he's going to have something to say about it. So we'll see if he can make some inways. But I think what we're seeing in college basketball is a lot of veteran presence, taking up those starting spots. So we'll see if Powell can make an impact off the bench. Probably not going to see much of James Brown in year 1 for him. Probably more of a Jalen Washington type arc where, you know, he maybe plays in a very limited role. And then, you know, year 2 maybe gets a little bit more run there. And then by year 3, you hope to really see him develop as kind of that guy that has developed on his overall game. So excited about this class, man. I think Ian Jackson is definitely a straight baller.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm glad you brought up all these options Coach Davis has. And, you know, we're actually going to spotlight training camp battles here in a few weeks. And, you know, it should be a lot of fun as we work through these dog days of July, right? But as much as I like to cover UNC, I'm ready to talk about my Sun Devils, guys. All right, let's just jump right in to my Sun Devils. Forks up. I know you're supposed to be impartial on these shows, but I'm not. Number 4, ASU coming in with those 2 5-stars, 1 4-star. Bobby Hurley. His seat was a little warm underneath him, right? He was feeling the flames a little bit, but, you know, he made the most of some opportunities here late in the recruiting cycle. Mike, we've talked about this kid a few times over the last month. Tell us about the headliner coming to my Sun Devils here.
Yeah, so he's a 5-star prospect, number 9 overall in the 24/7 composites, Jaden Quaintance. He's a center from the aforementioned North Carolina area. He's 6'9", 230, decommitted from Kentucky when Coach Calipari left to take the Arkansas job. Very young, super talented, has crazy length. His upside can lead him to create a bunch of mismatches offensively. But the crazy thing is, like, he's just so young. Like, he's going to have to play 2 years in college due to his age. So he can't be a one-and-done type player. I think his body's going to need another year, obviously, to adjust, playing against these grown-ass guys out here. So, here we're looking at Jaden Quaintance sitting here, top 10 prospect coming into Arizona State, and he's got to be there for 2 years, which a lot of the coaches that we talk to, you love to have guys in your system for multiple years. It obviously can lend itself when you have guys in your system that can grow, with you. So, yeah, I'm excited about those 2. Josan Seinan, Eric, he's a pretty good player. What do you think about him?
Yeah, pretty good, to put it lightly. Another 5-star guy, another guy inside the top 25 of the composite rankings. The guard out of the state of Vermont, 6'5", 190 pounds. I mean, this guy checks a lot of boxes, right? 3-level scorer. You know, he's a high volume type of shooter. He goes out there and finds his shot. You know, very nice size for his position. This is a guy that actually decommitted from Arizona when Caleb Love returned, decided to go to the in-state rival and put a smile on Nipsey Hussle's face. You know, honestly, like when we talk about this Sun Devils class overall, I think these are the two headliners, right? But you know, Coach Hurley is got another guy coming in here, a 4-star, Amir Ali, the wing from this home state of Arizona, 6'8", 175 pounds. Good length for his position, right? He can shoot very well from downtown. You know, we like to see these guys kind of bulk up when they get to campus. 175 isn't a whole lot of meat on that bone, but we typically see that come to pass as they get into that strength and conditioning program. So yeah, another 3-pack here that has a lot to be excited about. Mike, how do you see these three kind of coming together as part of the larger roster for the Sun Devils?
Yeah, I mean, I think all the headlines are going to go with Quaintance and Seinon for sure. And I don't know that they're automatic locks to start because of what Hurley's done in the offseason, building within the transfer portal, and also what you have returning. Like Quaintance is going to battle Sean Phillips, who was named Baby Shaq a few years ago in high school. So both of those guys are going to battle out to start at the 5 there. Phillips' experience, his upside, his pedigree might be enough to hold off the youngster. We'll see how that battle shapes up. And then Seinon, he's going to have to go through a lot of guys because I really like this incoming guard class for Arizona State in the transfer portal. You have Alston Mason, very good scorer. BJ Freeman, one of the best scorers in the country. Those two guys I would think are projected to start. We also got another P5 player coming in from Austin Nunez, who's actually returning to Arizona State. And then you got your third leading scorer, Adam Miller, who's no slouch either. He can really score for you. So, you know, the backcourt with Seinon, you know, going to have a little bit more of a battle on his hands. Quaintance, you know, just going to have to obviously battle Phillips there. So, like, this is a very good problem for Hurley to have. He didn't have this problem 2 months ago, but you know, you get the move from Calipari to Arkansas. You get Quaintance, and then you get the move Caleb Love coming back to school, and all of a sudden you end up with Seinon. So you go from having no 5 stars, having 2 5-stars, and then you brought in this transfer portal class, which we really like. And you start to see some things coming together for Arizona State.
Absolutely. You know, and moving into the Big 12 is another reason for needing to get some of this major talent into the program here. I mean, I think we had something like, 5 Big 12 teams in our offseason top 10 power rankings. ASU, they need to get going early and often, and if they want to have a chance to make some noise in this new conference that they're in. I got to say, I love hearing you guys say great things about them after not hearing so much good things in the past. So moving on, speaking of making noise, moving on to a team here who made a lot of noise this offseason. We've been talking about them a lot. Arkansas Razorbacks with their new head coach, John Calipari, coming in at number 3 with 3 5-stars. You know, Calipari is the quote-unquote father of the one-and-done strategy. You know, we're used to seeing Coach Cal bring in a bunch of 5-star recruits and kind of go from there. But this year's a bit different, Mike. Who's their top dog in this upcoming class?
Yeah, so, you know, used to seeing Cal with like these top 5, top 10 type players. We don't really have that, but we do have 5-stars. So you really can't complain about that. Starts with number 19 overall on the 24/7 composites, Boogie Flan. He's a guard from New York. He's 6'2", 170. Excellent shooter. Needs to clean up his shot selection because sometimes when you are a great shooter, you think you can make everything. So that elite ability can obviously lead to some bad misses and can kind of run you off the floor sometimes. But an elite scorer, I think he's the guy that probably makes the most impact for them. But Eric, there's a couple of the 5-stars here, man. You got Carter Knox and Billy Richmond, man. What's your take on these guys?
Yeah, it might not be the top 10 class that we have grown accustomed to with Coach Cal, but a star-studded one nonetheless. You only have to move down 2 spots to number 21 overall to find our next 5-star prospect, Carter Knox, the wing from Georgia, 6'5", 225 pounds. Legitimate 3-level scorer from the wing, good size for his position. versatile, very versatile on the offensive side. He can really carve up a defense a number of different ways. Going to be exciting to see his game translate to the next level. And then 5 more spots up, number 26, a third 5-star option here, Billy Richmond, another wing, this time from New Jersey, 6'5", 200. He's a lefty, right? So always tends to jump out or stand out on tape a little bit. He's got good athleticism. He plays hard. He likes to attack the rim, right? He's kind of got that aggressive style. So, again, not necessarily the number 1 overall recruiting class, but a fine job for Coach Cal heading into his first season with the Razorbacks. The question now, Mike, is, how do you see him actually deploying these guys when they tip the ball in the air?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're looking at it, like Fland or Knox could potentially be a starter. I don't think both start because of kind of what we talked about, like the transfer portal, right? Like Arizona State bringing in a bunch of guys. Well, Coach Cal using that transfer portal. We're used to him taking 5 or 6, incoming, top 10, top 20 type freshmen, and that's not really the case this year. So, for Fland, obviously, an excellent scorer, can handle the ball for you. If Coach Cal decides to go with like a 3-guard rotation, you're probably going to see him with DJ Wagner and John L. Davis. Could probably carve out a big role there. Regardless, I think he'll have a solid role off the bench. Calipari's talked about taking 9-10 players on the roster, and so far it looks like that is going to be the case. So whenever you have those players, I mean, depth sometimes can be a concern. So you think Knox and Richmond are definitely going to have a role if there's any injuries, and regardless should have should at least have a little bit of a role if you're running a 9 to 10 man rotation. So with Knox, obviously he can provide you some offensive pop like Fland, but it's really going to depend, right? Knox is more of a 3, so if you choose to go with DJ Wagner and John L. Davis, you can maybe see Knox playing that 3 spot, starting in that 3 spot. But I don't think there's going to be much pressure on these guys like we've seen with a lot of the guys that, Anthony Davis, John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins, even last year, Reed Shepherd and Dillingham, right? There's a lot of pressure on these freshmen and kind of led to the exit out of Kentucky, right? Not performing well in March there. But Cal really focused this year on bringing in veteran impact players from the portal. We talked about John L. Davis and DJ Wagner, but you also have Jonas Adu coming in from Tennessee. I was able to bring a Visage with him from Kentucky, and they were able to retain Trevon Brazil. So you don't have any shortage of talented options in the backcourt or the front court through the transfer portal. But there's no doubt that this freshman class is going to have an impact if they're only going to take, 9 to 10 players.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Calipari is he's gonna have talented freshmen. Like that's just a given with him.
Yeah.
The fact that he won't have to rely on them so heavily as top dogs is new. I mean, I just can't wait to see how this shift in philosophy works out for him. Moving on to next on our list, the most surprising of the recruiting season. What Rutgers was able to do is just impressive to me, right? Coming in at number 2, 2 5-stars, 1 4-star, and 2 3-stars. And for me, it's the quality over quantity that seals them as our number 2 incoming freshman class. Mike, there are 2 big dogs coming to eat here. Can you go over them?
Yeah, I'm sure everyone has heard of these guys. Number 2 and number 3 overall rated players on the 24/7 composites, Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper. Ace Bailey's a wing from Georgia. He's 6'8", 195. These guys are very good friends. Both of these guys have NBA written all over them. Just an excellent athlete. Can really run the floor. Really good scorer. Dylan Harper is a guard from New Jersey. He's 6'6". He's also a lefty, strong, compact athlete, high IQ. Like he's more of your cerebral player than Bailey is, where Bailey just jumps off the screen as far as athleticism. So Eric, man, like those 2 dudes are the dudes, right? But you're bringing in 3 other guys. What's the rest of the class look like to you?
Yeah, 3 other guys that would be very strong contenders and contributors on a number of other programs. And while they might not have the same 5-star pedigree, guys that I think can contribute for this Rutgers roster. We'll start with number 126 overall, a 4-star Lathan Somerville, the forward from the state of Illinois, 6'9", 240 pounds, strong rebounder in the middle. He's got some defensive upside with his shot blocking, right? A lot of ways that he can be disruptive on the defensive end of the ball. Moving up to number 155, we check in with a 3-star Dylan Grant, a forward from Michigan. He weighs in at 205 pounds on a 6'7" frame. really good athlete, does most of his damage around the rim, right? The interior is going to be a focal point from this year's incoming class. And then the fifth guy here on the graphic, another 3-star, 212 overall, Bryce Dortch, a wing from the state of Massachusetts. He is 6'8", 190 pounds, long wing, high motor guy, high energy guy, really is the straw that stirs the drink. He's able to defend multiple positions, so you love that versatility overall. And now all of a sudden, this Rutgers team has kind of an embarrassment of riches, specifically with regard to this incoming freshman class. So a lot of questions about how these guys will be deployed. Mike, how do you see them impacting in the upcoming season and maybe in the seasons to follow?
Yeah, well, I think you're only going to get one season with Harper and Bailey. They're absolutely going to be in the NBA draft. They're just way too talented. So, Coach Pykeel, he worked the portal, though. So I think you see, obviously, those two guys slated to start. We'll see how many minutes you get out of them. We're probably going to take a little bit of time to get adjusted by, January, February. I could potentially see them playing 30 minutes a game. They're just supremely talented and going to be fine NBA players in their own right. With Somerville, Grant, Dortch, we may have to wait a little bit. They may carve out some small roles this year. But there's some guys returning along with the transfer portal class. So you have Jermichael Davis and Jeremiah Williams. These two are very good in the backcourt for you. Plus, you brought in one of the top scorers in the country, Tyson Acuff from Eastern Michigan, for some scoring punch. In the front court, might not be as exciting to a lot of people, but Zach Martini from Princeton, very good shooter. And then Jordan Durkak, who we covered a lot last year for Merrimack toward the end of the year there. Those two arrive and they have plenty of skill and experience. So maybe pushing down some of these guys, outside of Harper and Bailey. But this is a fringe top 25 team with big upside to be obviously a top 10 type team. If Bailey and Harper figure it out, those guys are absolutely special. And I cannot wait to see those two put on a Rutgers uniform, which sounds kind of weird.
Yeah, absolutely. Tons of excitement there in New Jersey. I want to ask the comments. I know Peanut Butter just came in, but before we get to his comment, I want to ask anybody out there, with Rutgers' incoming class, do you think they can make a Final Four run? Let us know in the comments. I want to hear from everybody out there. But speaking of comments, we did have Peanut Butter come in. Oh, don't tell me Rutgers is better than Kentucky too.
Incoming freshman, yes.
Yeah, when it comes to freshmen, it's preseason.
It's preseason.
We'll see. We'll see what happens when the actual season comes through.
Absolutely.
Stick with us the whole way, Peanut Butter. Keep it coming. Keep those comments coming. Make sure you hit those like and subscribe buttons so you know exactly when we are coming out with all this content through this off season. So talking about New Jersey, can't understate the job that Coach Pykeel did getting this class to come in. But, these 2 5-stars, that's a pretty good get for sure. But then there's always Duke, right? Who brings in a load of talent as our number 1 incoming freshman class with 5 5-stars. One whole hand, and then a 4-star to boot. They're always bringing the heat when it comes to recruiting. In fact, they have the top recruit of this class. Mike, let's just start from there.
Top recruit from this class. Who could that be? I think that would be Cooper Flagg, forward from Maine, 6'9", 195. For me, man, it's been a long time since we've had a high school player with this type of height. He had this type of height his junior year in high school, so there's not a lot this guy can't do on the floor. He's a lead on both ends. I love that Duke is sharing a little bit of their summer workouts and scrimmages, getting to see him just rain it down from 3, see some of the passing he's been doing, and some of the dunks that he's already gotten in against a lot of talent. Obviously, a bunch of guys coming in and a bunch of transfers. So, yeah, Cooper Flagg, we don't really need to talk about him. Everyone should know who this kid is. If you don't, you'll probably watch the first few games, and that's all you'll need to watch to understand that he's a special talent. But not too far behind him in the 24/7 rankings. Number 6 overall is Kamen Maluach from a center from South Africa. He's 7'1", 250. He came through the NBA Academy Africa. His size and strength for that age, 7'1", he's actually 250. Like he's a big kid, man. He's actually got a little bit of ability to stretch the floor. He's an elite lob and roll finisher. Like these two are going to be the headlines. Also got to see a little bit of film of him catching lobs and finishing. He looks like an absolute monster. No shortage in talent in this class, Eric. Those two, Flagg and Maluach, man, very, very special. But kind of takes away a little bit from the other 4 guys in this class, man. Who else is coming through to the Dukies?
Man, it's wild, right? Because if you were to just remove these 2 players you've talked about, the number 1 and the number 6 overall players, according to 24/7 Composite, you've got 4 guys inside of the top 40 sitting behind him, including 3 5-stars that are all inside of the top 25. The first is the number 15 overall, Isaiah Evans, the 6'6", 170-pound wing from the home state of North Carolina. Versatile playmaker on both ends of the floor. Again, 170 pounds isn't exactly a lot of meat on that 6'6" frame. So needs to put on a little bit of muscle, but we believe that he will do so as he gets into that conditioning program. Next up, the number 18 player, move up 3 spots, another 5-star, Con Nopel, the wing out of Wisconsin, 6'5", 205 pounds. So a little bit beefier there, elite shooter, high basketball IQ, much more of an offensive weapon type of profile. So going to be interesting to see how he is deployed in this Duke offense. The 5th 5-star of this class, number 25, Patrick Ngomba, the center out of Virginia. You want to talk about Malanch being a big guy there at 7'1", 250. You've also got a 6'11", 235-pound big man, the second 5-star center of this year's class, and very impressive on the offensive side. Does a lot of his damage in the low post, as you would expect with a player of that frame. And then, oh, by the way, almost a kind of toss in here, the 4-star, number 38 overall, Darren Harris, the wing out of Virginia, 6'6", 195 pounds, another offensive dynamo, knockdown shooter. He's got a little bit of wiggle in his game, right? So he can definitely make some defenders look a little silly out there as well. And now, top to bottom, for good reason, we have our clearly number 1 overall ranked recruiting class of this upcoming season. Just an embarrassment of riches for the Duke Blue Devils. Mike, how do you see it all coming together this year?
Well, based on the comments, we got to stop talking about how great this recruiting. We'll get to that in just a second. But how do I see it playing out? I mean, I'm a huge Cooper Flagg fan. Like I'm just he's just so awesome. I think he's a generational type player. Like his overall game on both ends is crazy for his age. Speaking of age, I just talked about Maluach. Like the fact that he's that size, so much upside defensively. Like those 2 guys make it for a very scary front line. You better get them early before they get used to the college game. Obviously, can they both handle the physicality when you start playing some of these teams that'll beat you up a little bit? We'll see. I think those are the only 2 that you can kind of pencil in as starters. The rest of this class, they got some work to do. Like Duke didn't. I feel like I'm gonna gush over what Duke did in the portal, because what Duke has done is different from what they've done recently. They brought in guys, in the transfer portal, Ryan Young, Jacob Grandison a few years ago from Illinois, like some guys that are like they're okay, like they're role players, might carve out 8 to 10 minutes for you. What they brought in the transfer portal is a bunch of veterans that have played high major basketball, that have different skill sets and could actually legitimately start, like Mason Gillis, Malik Brown, and Zion James. Like all 3 of them could legitimately make a case to start, even with all these 5-star freshmen. You have to also understand that Tyrese Proctor and Caleb Foster are returning. Like, those 2 guys are going to start in the backcourt. So there's not a lot of spots, right? Like there's a lot of starters potentially on this team, but there's only 5 starting spots. Which is what I like. I think it's completely different than what they've done over the past couple of years. Mason Gillis obviously played in the national championship game, knockdown shooter, great rebounder. Malik Brown, a stock monster, very good defensively. Zion James, so underrated, has played basically 30-plus minutes in the AAC for the past 4 years, can shoot the 3. We've already seen reports out of Duke saying that his 2-way ability of the defensive end is going to make a big impact. So we didn't see that. We saw some of the 5-stars last year get into foul trouble, and then they really didn't have anything behind it to really come in. Now some of these guys get into Cooper Flagg gets into foul trouble, and you're bringing Malik Brown off the bench, who started for Syracuse last year, or Mason Gillis, you're bringing him off the bench from Purdue. or Foster gets in foul trouble and you're bringing in Zion James. Like these guys have started games in national title games in the ACC, in the AAC for basically 4 straight years. I'm sorry. Like, this is a really good Duke team. Talent all over the place. We'll see if these other 5 stars like Ngamba and Knipple and Evans can carve out, roles with these transfers coming in. But I think Maluach and Flagg, man, are just they're just too damn good.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's just crazy talent for Duke every year, right? But I mean, you're right about some of these transfers coming in. I mean, it makes them even scarier for this upcoming year with all that depth, like you were saying, right? It's insane. But it's not insane, or I guess it could be insane, is this comment section. It's blowing up. We just start talking about Duke and North Carolina, and we get everybody jumping in the deep end with peanut butter here. So we'll start at the top here. Peanut butter coming in. We've seen what freshmen do in the tournament the past decade.
Talking like a true Kentucky fan.
Exactly. Patrick Hart coming in. I think Sweet 16 for Rutgers. St. John's making it to the Final Four this year. There you go. Calling a shot.
Patrick. Let's go.
Yeah, peanut butter coming out.
The crazy thing is, like, we asked if this is a Final Four roster for Rutgers, but a Sweet 16 would be insane for them relative to how they've played over the last few years.
Hey, shoot for the stars, end up the moon, right? That's what you go for, right? Peanut butter. How can St. John's get a Final Four with their coach paying Kentucky's NIL? Oh man, here we go. Dimitri Dash, come on in. Let's pump the brakes on the Duke's hype train. My Tar Heels will beat them yet again, just like when we sent Coach L to that early retirement. Flagg is the truth, though. I must admit.
I like Dimitri right here, man.
Yeah, there you go. Flagg is the truth. The guy's a beast. Peanut butter coming in. Yeah, I'll believe the Dookie hype when I see it. Who was the number 1 recruit last year? DJ Wagner, Justin Edwards?
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I mean, you're scarred with some of the top recruits. I get it.
Yeah, for sure. Dimitri coming back in. Zion, Reddish, RJ, them boys gonna go
calling it back to the old school 5 stars for Duke. Yeah, because you can name prominent 5 stars basically every single year for the past 20 years for Duke, for sure.
Exactly. Appreciate the comments, guys. Keep them coming. We'll definitely flash them up on the screen. If this is your first time watching us, we love when the flame emojis drop in there. Throw those in. While you're in there, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell as you are there so you know when we are coming on with all this great content. So that's our top 5. North Carolina, Arizona State, Arkansas, Rutgers, and Duke. Let us know what you think about our top 5 and who did we leave out. I think we know Peanut Butter's thoughts on that. But let's see who we left out in that top 5. Now, instead of the recruiting classes, let's actually talk about some of the other 5-star recruits around the country. Mike, let's go ahead and have you start off with somebody in our top 5 here.
Yeah, so we have the classes, right? We get all hyped up. We bring the braff up, which is beautiful as always. So VJ Edgecombe, a wing from New York, 6'5", 180. Number 4 overall recruit on 24/7 composite. He's a Baylor signee. This dude has a chance to be really special. Like, got to watch him at the Nike Hoop Summit. Uber athlete, like a monster in the open floor, tough on the defensive end. Have to think he's a day 1 starter for Baylor there. Eric, who you got next on that list? I see a little bit of burnt orange there.
Yeah, a little bit of burnt orange just means that it is my turn to tap in and be the objective journalist here on the One and Done show. My responsibility to talk about the Texas Longhorns, who are bringing in another 5-star recruit, number 5 overall, according to 24/7 composite. Trey Johnson, the wing out of the home state of Texas, 6'6", 190 pounds. Just a truly dynamic offensive threat. He can score from anywhere on the floor. He should probably challenge for a starting spot as soon as day 1, or if he doesn't get that, he could easily be that type of microwave scorer off the bench for Coach Terry. So a lot of excitement around this signing for Trey Johnson. Again, the number 5 overall player. Nape, don't have to go too far to the number 7 overall player on the composite ranking. Who you got?
Yeah, number 7 overall, Jaleel Bethea, a guard out of Pennsylvania, 6'4", 170, signed with Miami. I mean, just another big-time guard for Miami here.
Oh,
yeah, Oha. He's one of the best pure shooters in the country. This kid is super competitive, and he should have a chance to start right away next to Nigel Pack. So number 7 overall. Mike, why don't you take us out of the top 10 here? Who you got?
Yeah, I think this guy that should be in the top 10, to be honest with you. It's Derek Queen. Based on kind of what we've seen recently from this kid against top-level competition, he's rated number 12 overall in the 24/7 composite. He's a forward from Florida, 6'10", 240, has a college-made body here. Maryland signee. He's been surging as a prospect basically over the past 12 months, and one of the best rebounders in all the country. Much of his offensive game is really predicated around the basket inside the paint. He's going to play next to Julian Reese, which is going to open up, I think, all kinds of opportunities for this Maryland offense that left much to be desired over the last couple of years. But rounding out this beautiful graphic here, haven't talked much about the 2-time defending national champions. Who you got, Eric?
Yeah, those 2-time defending national champions are looking to make it a three-peat. And if they do, I think it will have a lot to do with the signing of Liam McNeely, 5-star freshman, number 17 overall, according to Composite. Comes in at 6'7", 210 pounds from the state of Florida. This is, we're talking about Alex Caravan's starter kit with, higher playmaking upside is kind of how this kid profiles. Perfect fit for Coach Hurley's system here. Not a guy that's going to wow you athletically, but he will wow you with his ability to score the ball. Just fills it up night in and night out. I think that he's going to be a great fit for the system. I think he's going to offer them a lot of versatility in terms of how they deploy the players on their roster. So fantastic signing as Liam McNeely heads to UConn.
Good stuff as always, gentlemen. Those are they're not top 5, but those are our 5 stars that are out there in the country that we haven't talked about already. I want to get into these comments real quick because I saw somebody said, as Peanut Butter coming in, surprised that I'm in such agreement with the UNC fan. You know what? That's what we do here on One and Done. I want to bring the people together. Show love.
Unity.
Say that right after that, he puts Hubert Davis doing a great job of holding that program down. He's no Calipari. There you go. And also coming in, Edgecombe will be the first college player picked next round.
No, that's not true. But okay. Yeah, I think he could be a chance to be number 2 behind Flagg. But
there you go. Well, maybe his name will come up or not in our rapid fire section a little bit later. Maybe. We got some questions out there. We'll see. But moving on, we have some other incoming freshmen. Now, these guys aren't the big 5-star big names out there, but these guys have a potential to get those big roles in some of these schools out there. I'm going to go ahead and start us off here. He's number 98. He's a 4-star. Liam Campbell out of Idaho. He's a St. Mary's signee. So he signed up with St. Mary's. The Gales lost Aiden Mahaney to the portal. This kid's game just mirrors a lot of what Mahaney brought to them, right? Really good shooter, really great basketball IQ, real good decision maker here. I mean, there's a chance for Campbell to step in and immediately contribute to the Gales this season. So number 98 overall. Only 5 from there, Mike. Who you got next?
Yeah, I got a kid that I think is going to play a lot this year, and it's Daquan Davis, 4-star, number 104 overall with Florida State. He's a point guard out of Georgia. Look, this FSU roster, now, while they got Jameer Watkins back, they're going to need some of these freshmen that they have coming in to step up, and I think Daquan Davis has the best chance to do that. There are not a lot of proven commodities at the P5 level for Florida State. I think he has a chance to immediately start or at least be in the top 7 of their rotation. So certainly a nice role for him carved out heading to Florida State. Eric, why don't you take the next one? Who you got there?
Yeah, don't have to go far. 2 spots to the number 106, according to Composite, a 4-star Andrew Crawford, the combo guard out of Colorado. He stays home and signs with the Colorado Buffaloes. A lot of the interesting thing here is the way that his game profiles and how much of a void there is on this roster, right? KJ Simpson has declared for the draft. Hadley and O'Brien both transferred out, right? Like there is piles of usage out there for him to scoop up. And I think he's the type of player that can do it. So name to watch, Andrew Crawford heading to Colorado. Mike, I'll kick it right back to you. We'll move 2 more spots to 108. Who do you got heading to Creighton?
Yeah, Larry Johnson. No, not that Larry Johnson from the Knicks 30 years ago, but
Still got eligibility?
The shooting guard from California, 4-star. Look, Trey Alexander and Baylor Shireman, obviously going to have nice pro career. They're not at Creighton anymore, and Farabello also graduated. So, I know they do have obviously Pop Isaacs coming in, but you're going to need more than a couple of guards, Stephen Ashworth and Isaacs, to be able to make a nice run there. So Larry Johnson sitting there at number 108 on the 24/7 composite. I think he has an opportunity to carve out a solid role in his freshman year with the opportunity for expansion as we move into the 25-26 season. Who's the last guy we're going to chat about here, Eric?
Yeah, we've got one more guy to hit here. Daniel Jacobson, the 143rd overall player, a 4-star out of Illinois, heading to Purdue. No more Zach Edey in the middle. According to Purdue, it's listed at 7'3", 255 pounds. According to 24/7, he's 7 foot and 215 pounds. So somewhere in between those two numbers sits Daniel Jacobson.
Depends on the day.
putting some great film out there recently. 200 pounds plus sounds sizable for most players, but if you're north of 7 foot tall, that can be a little slight of build. So we want to see him put on some weight. The Purdue program has a pretty good way of managing the strength and conditioning of guys of this frame. So I believe he'll be able to do so. But that wraps up our last 5-pack of some freshmen to watch.
Absolutely. Good freshmen to watch. Let us know in the comments if you know any other freshmen that we should be highlighting. Who do we miss? Who's going to have a big role at your school that's coming in? Let us know in those comments, whether you're in the live comments or you're watching us afterwards. Let us know. Well, I want to move into one of my favorite segments that we do here. Let's get into rapid fire. Oh, man. Love that music. Just gets me going every time. This is rapid fire. As you can see, the screen's a little different. I'm lording over these two guys.
Hit him with the hoop.
Hit him with the hoop.
If this is the first time you're watching this, rapid fire, I'm going to ask a couple questions. They're going to give a quick, rapid answers. So let's just jump right into it. Gentlemen, who is a player that we did not spotlight that will make us pay for not spotlighting them? Mike, you first.
I'll go with Donnie Freeman. He's a 5-star forward going to Syracuse. I think he's going to start at the 4 for the Orangemen. He's a wiry forward. He has a lot of tools. Probably going to make us pay for not spotlighting him on our incoming freshman class. Eric, who you got, man?
I'm going to go with Asa Newell. I'm not sure if he's going to make us play or Mama Rocks is going to make us pay, but the 5-star forward is headed to her fighting Georgia Bulldogs. Kid absolutely showed out the Nike Hoop Summit here recently. Nice inside-outside game. I think he is a huge get for those aforementioned Georgia Bulldogs.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Right into the next question. Rapid fire, as I said. Most likely to be top 5 pick in the 2025 NBA draft, not named Flagg, Bailey, or Harper. Eric, you go first.
I will defer my answer to the delegation from Lexington. Peanut Butter Posse and I are in lockstep here. VJ Edgecombe, I think, is certainly very likely to be that player, not of the named list. Potentially, if he has a good year, I think he can play his way up to first college player off the board consideration, but it's a long shot.
Yeah, it's a long shot. I'll go with Trey Johnson, man, from Texas. You guys don't ever let me talk about Texas, obviously, because I got to rein it back a little bit. But shooting, that's something a lot of NBA teams like, and athleticism and on the wing profiles as a really good NBA player. So I'll say Trey Johnson.
Good stuff. Mike with the homer pick. Love it. I'm all for the homer picks, man. You know me. Next question. Recruiting story of the year. Mike, you go.
I think it's funny. Cannon Cattings. There's some like just happened. So he was committed to Purdue, was going to head there, and now he's going to BYU. Apparently, he called. This is per Coach Painter in an interview, basically concerned with his role. Called back the next day and said he was ready to move forward. And Purdue said, "No, I think it's best that we, go our separate ways." And now he's with BYU, so I think he has a chance to carve out a bigger role there. But I just thought it was an interesting story there. Can you top out that one there, Eric, with Painter going ahead and saying let's go our separate ways?
Man, I don't know if I can top it, but one that is equally as interesting is Liam McNeely. We talked about him a few minutes ago. On his way to UConn, swung through Indiana before decommitting during the season. It was weird because his decommitment happened after Coach Woodson was officially retained by the Hoosiers, right? Usually you see
Yikes.
that coach that has brought a player in staying there, and that means the player typically stays there. But I mean, we can kind of read the tea leaves and speculate a little bit. Probably saw the up and down year with Mbako and other big men in that program. There's also potentially some concern about this offensive system, and now he's headed to UConn, right? So if nothing else, maybe he's out there trying to ring chase as the Huskies go for 3 in a row.
Oh, going for 3 in a row. Let us know in the comments. Do you have a rapid fire question about recruiting? Let us know. We'll get to it at the end. I'm going to go ahead and move on to our next one here. Recruiting class not getting enough love, guys. Who's not getting love?
Mike, I'll say Baylor here. We talked about Edgecombe a lot, but there are 3 other top 50 guys. I think could have clearly been in our top 5. I'm looking at here, guard Rob Wright, wing Jason Asamoah. Like, those are very good players. So probably right there sitting at maybe a 6 or 7 spot. But probably not getting enough love nationally. Who you got, Eric?
How about the number 2 overall class according to 24/7 Composite? The Alabama Crimson Tide did not break our top 5 list despite having that number 2 ranking, right? I think a lot of this has to do with their single 5-star Darian Reed. They also have 3 4-stars coming in right behind them. Really, if I'm trying to make sense of this, I think they're not getting quite as much love as they should because of the embarrassment of talent returning to Alabama this year, right? These are guys that are going to be kind of struggling for playing time, at least in the immediate term. So Alabama should get their just due, and I will give it to them here on Rapid Fire.
Good stuff. Mid-major incoming freshman that will shine bright like a diamond.
I'll take an interesting one. He's a kid that's in the top. He's in the top 150 of the 24/7 Composite. His name's Caden Diggs. Really nice size, like Old Dominion. We talked about them the other day because basically everything that they've lost recently. Jenkins is headed out the door. He's going to Seton Hall. Aled's going to TCU. And there's an opportunity there. So I think Caden Diggs is someone that can come in there as a freshman and really make an impact. Eric, you got any guys out there that you're keeping your eye on?
I'll head to the Ivy League. Robert Hinton, the guard for Harvard, top 100 type recruit, has that strong family legacy of playing well at the collegiate level that he's looking to continue. And for this Harvard team, Malik Mack is gone. That's opening up some opportunity and some usage from the vacated position there. So I'll keep an eye on how Hinton plays this upcoming season for Harvard.
Good stuff. And last question here. What's the one thing you are most excited about for this incoming class?
Eric, why don't you take the first one, man?
Ooh. I mean, this sounds kind of obvious, but it's the talent, right? Like last year, we didn't see a lot of these top guys making a huge impact. This year, I think will be, one of the better, if not one of the best incoming classes we've seen in the last 3, 4, 5+ years, right? So, we like to swoon over these incoming freshmen, but I think in this recruiting class in particular, it is justified. So I'm looking forward to seeing these kids take the court. Mike, what do you what's got you gassed up here about this incoming class?
I'll keep gassing up my Duke takes, but it's going to be more of like how the 5-star freshmen and the veterans, how they play together. I I think that's huge. I'll throw a few more out there, like how Rutgers handles the pressure of having 2 top flight recruits, 2 of the top 3 players. That'll be something different for their program. And then who's like a wild card that's out there, right? I'm going to be looking for that, man. There's always one where like, oh man, we didn't pay attention to this guy, a JT Toppin, right? And all of a sudden he's an absolute superstar. So yeah, man, but I'm excited to see Cooper Flagg and these Dukies interact with the veterans and see how this thing all comes together for sure.
Good stuff. And that was Rapid Fire. Man, I'm just telling you, that's just a banger of a song. I love it.
Whole ass vibe.
Exactly. Well, that was Rapid Fire, one of our favorite segments to do here on the show. And I asked in the middle of the show what if anybody had any questions in here. But the one question that I saw come in from Peanut Butter Posse, better chicken, Purdue or Tyson?
Depends on who your team is, right?
Yeah, seriously. Raising Canes.
Good stuff. Good stuff. What if Colin Chandler comes in and lights it up?
I mean, that would not be on my bingo card for Kentucky, but what if he does? Then I would say Kentucky's probably going to have a really, really good season if you get a wild card. Absolutely. That's what I just talked about, right? Like, what if a 3-star like absolutely goes crazy? It happens. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what team is lucky enough to have that happen.
Yeah, like we were saying, like those 4-stars that have big potential, right? They could be those wild cards that come in for sure. Dimitri coming in, Elliot Cadeau season. Y'all heard it here first.
I mean, Elliot Cadeau.
Dimitri's over here looking at my DFS lineups from last year, just trying to bring me back to life.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, Cadeau's a kid that reclassified, so this should technically be his freshman year.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, another reason for North Carolina fans to be excited. Like Peanut Butter Posse feels like I'm playing a Nintendo. That's all.
Yeah. That's what
there you go. Good stuff, guys. Appreciate all the commenters out there. Always love seeing our regulars other than Peanut Butter Posse coming in. Dimitri Dash. We had we had somebody. Oh yeah, Patrick Hart. There you are. Patrick Hart coming in. Love seeing
not only coming in, but planting his flag, St. John's in the Final Four.
Absolutely. Ooh, there you go. Appreciate all the love out there, guys. Make sure you go out there, like and subscribe. Tell your broskies and broskets in basketball about us. We take everybody, even the guys that you don't like at work and they just annoy you. We'll take them in here and we will absolutely interact with everybody. Remember to get out there and check out all our coaching interviews we've been doing. We've had our summer road trip series going through all the different states and cities of the great United States here. We just had Boise State head coach. We have Temple coming up. We just had UTSA, UT San Antonio here in Texas.
Chugging along.
There you go. Just chugging along. Just taking pee breaks every other day, right? And just keep chugging through. There we go. But yes, until next time, guys, appreciate the love. Go out there. Tell somebody you love them. Until next time, let's get this bread.
Thanks for stopping by the office. Get your fantasy prescription by subscribing to the channel and checking out drrodo.com. And until the next visit, be well and take care.